Lions are majestic, powerful, unpredictable, and very dangerous. Today, we recount the heart-wrenching stories of 6 adults and 4 children, whose encounters with lions ended in unimaginable loss. Shocking lion attacks that ended in tragedy. 3 children are killed by lions on a wildlife reserve. The children lived near the Tanzania Wildlife Reserve, and their families belong to the Maasai community. The local people are farmers and are allowed to graze their livestock alongside wild animals within the national park. When they got home from school, 4 children went out to round up some of the cattle that had strayed into the Ngorongoro conservation area. But as the kids were busy finding their animals, a group of lions spotted them. It is unknown why they attacked them on this particular day, because other children had successfully entered the area before, without any trouble. But this day, the lions decided they would attack and kill without mercy. 3 of the children were killed and were between the ages of 9 to 11. 1 child was badly injured, but he survived. Killed by a lion he had reared since it was a cub. Mr. West Matthewson, 69, lived at Lion Tree Top Lodge in South Africa. In 2020, he was walking his 2 white lions around the property. This was his regular routine with these 2 animals that he had reared since they were cubs. His wife Jill, 65, was driving behind him and she took in the peaceful scene. Her husband had walked like this for years, as the lions had grown up with him. But this day she could only look on in horror as one of the lions suddenly pushed her husband to the ground. And without any warning, it began to bite him in his neck and head. He died within a few minutes of the attack. A visit to his granny ended in tragedy. In April 2023, 11-year-old Christian Prinsloo was visiting his grandmother in Limpopo, South Africa. She was 75-year-old Marie Stridham, and her grandson would often come to stay. They had both gone next door to her neighbors, Cor and Alet Vos. Here they were rearing and training 3 lions on the property. In the kitchen, Christian was looking at the bookshelf in the corner of the room, while the adults were sitting around the table talking. But earlier on in the day, one of the lions had escaped its enclosure. Before anyone could catch it, the lion entered the kitchen. For some unknown reason, it attacked the boy by jumping on him and biting his throat several times. Christian's grandmother ran over to them and managed to push the lion off the child. Mrs. Voss drove them both to the hospital, where they patched him up until he was airlifted to the Pretoria hospital. But he died from his injuries a few days later, on the day after his 12th birthday. A 27-year-old safari guide is eaten by 2 lions. It happened in the Marikela National Park in South Africa in 2021. Malabongwe Mufila, 27, worked as a safari guide at Marataba Luxury Lodges. His job involved tracking down where the wildlife were in the 20,000-hectare grounds of the safari park. On this day, he was driving around in the bush looking for animals like elephants, cheetahs, and lions. Once he knew their locations, he could relay back to the other rangers where the animals were. But as he was walking away from the car, he did not realize that 2 young lions were stalking him. They suddenly attacked him and brought him down. But he was helpless on the ground, and the lions proceeded to eat him alive. What was left of his body was later recovered for his family. She was killed at a game reserve taking photos. A 22-year-old woman had arranged to interview the manager of the Dinokeng Game Reserve at Pretoria in South Africa. It was 2018 and she was staying with a friend at a camp nearby. She'd arranged to interview the manager later in the day. As she was waiting to meet Kevin Anderson, she wandered around the outside of a fenced area. She was taking photos for her article and noticed a lion running after an antelope in the distance. She was excited by this unique photo opportunity and pointed her camera towards the animals in the distance. But just as she began to take photos of this, the lion suddenly stopped chasing the animal and charged at her instead. This all happened in an instant, and she was attacked by the lion and killed. Overconfidence got him killed. A man was mauled to death by a lion at a wildlife park in Nigeria. Mr. Babaji Dal, 35 years old, was an experienced lion handler at the park. That night, after the park had closed to visitors, he had taken some special guests to see him feeding the lions and for them to take photos. He got careless and maybe overconfident as he was showing them his feeding routine. He forgot to make sure the locks on the animal's safety protection gate were closed properly. And as he went to feed it, the lion suddenly jumped out and attacked him. It went straight for his neck, biting him several times. When help arrived, the lion had to be shot dead in order to release the man's body. A group of lions mauled a zookeeper to death. This happened at the Tigan Safari Park in Crimea. It is one of the largest breeding grounds for lions in Europe, with about 60 lions there. Ms. Leocadia Paravolova had worked at the park for 16 years and was very experienced. She entered an enclosure where 3 lions were in order to clean it. For safety reasons, the lions would be put in one of the 2 rooms in this enclosure, which were separated by a locked door. For some unknown reason, she entered the enclosure without shutting the bolt of the door. All 3 lions attacked her and mauled her to death. Alexandra Black. She had only been working there for 10 days. In December 2018, 22-year-old Alexandra Black had just begun her job at a wildlife conservatory in North Carolina. Alexandra's love for animals had driven her to pursue a career in conservation. This was supposed to be the beginning of a promising career. But just a few days into her new job, tragedy struck. That day, the staff were cleaning a lion enclosure, so the lions were moved to a separate area. However, one of the lions managed to escape its holding area, and it charged at the nearby workers. But Alexandra was unable to get out of the way quick enough. To everyone's horror, she was attacked and mauled by the lion. But even with desperate attempts to save her, it was already too late. She died from the severe bites, loss of blood, and trauma. She had worked on the TV series Game of Thrones. In 2015, Catherine Chappell was a talented graphic effects creator. She was on holiday in South Africa as she was fascinated by wildlife there. While observing lions from her car, Catherine rolled down her window for a clearer view and to take better photos. Suddenly, out of nowhere, she was attacked. Other tourists were in their own cars doing the same thing and were shocked by what was happening right in front of their eyes. A lion had jumped through the open window and began to bite her. Catherine was bitten multiple times on the neck and head by the animal. The other people could do nothing to save her because it happened so fast. So she died almost immediately in front of the horrified tourists. These heartbreaking stories remind us of the fine line between admiration and danger. While lions are magnificent creatures, they demand our respect and caution. Whether in the wild or captivity, understanding their behavior is key to coexistence. Why do lions attack humans? Lions are among nature's most awe-inspiring creatures. These stories remind us of both their beauty and their power. Lion attacks on humans are rare. It is estimated that lions kill around 250 people annually worldwide. But these attacks are often because the lions are either extremely hungry, stressed, or are defending their territory or their cubs. Even in controlled environments, any breach of trust or safety can lead to devastating consequences. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you want to watch more like this.